I'm going to call the Personnel Committee to order at 6:15 on March 16th, 2026. We have one item on the agenda. It's order number 26-1009678, the appointment of Colleen F. Marinelli to the Parks and Recreation Commission. Colleen, if you could join us at the front of the chambers. And while Colleen's getting ready, I will read the letter from the mayor. Honorable President Ossing and councilors, I am pleased to submit for your approval the appointment of Colleen Marinelli to the Parks and Recreation Commission for a 3-year term to expire February 28th, 2029. As outlined in the letter submitted by Mrs. Marinelli, she has demonstrated a deep passion for serving the community by establishing the Youth Track program and wishes to continue and expand on that. I believe her insight organizing events and wanting to give back to the community will be a great addition to the Recreation Commission. She was highly recommended by our current Recreation Director, Chuck Thibodeau. I want to thank Mark Vital for being on the Recreation Commission since 2012. If my math's right, that's 14 years in this seat. Having him serve on the commission for all these years has brought value and a different perspective and insight into his work on the council. Colleen, thank you for wanting to join the commission, and I am excited to hear more about expanding programs. Sincerely, Mayor Christian Dumas. With that said, committee members, would anyone like to ask Colleen some questions? Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you for volunteering your time and effort, Colleen. I definitely support those who take the initiative and demonstrate themselves in the community and then ask to join the team, because you become a proven point. I have a lot of high-tech experience. I know who VMware is, What is Tanium? And I think I've heard Riverbed before, but what are the... Yeah. What do they do?
Sure. So Tanium is a cybersecurity company dealing with endpoint management, making sure your devices are secure.
Okay.
And Riverbed, same lens, not cybersecurity. It's software, observability, AI ops, and I work in the digital employee experience space, so DEX.
Okay, cloud computing type stuff, or is it more...
It's in the cloud, yeah. But okay. For my solution base with DEX, it's endpoints and devices and applications and networks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being able to see that visibility.
Right. And it's very easy doing those jobs remote, I assume, right? Because your customer base is all over anyway, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Just getting a better understanding of your background experience and,
yep.
What you're doing. I have no issues in endorsing her, but if any other councilors want to say anything, I would approve it.
Thank you, Councilor Doucette. Councilor Navin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Great. Thank you. I have no questions about your technological background. I didn't understand most of the words that Councilor Doucette said, per usual, but I would thank you for your interest in the Recreation Commission. This is high season coming upon us, and I know a lot of the members of the commission are looking forward to the season and a lot of potential new ideas and some programming that they can do. So I don't have any questions for you. I just want to thank you for volunteering and make a motion to approve the appointment.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the position of Colleen Marinelli to the Recreation and Parks Department, or the Parks and Recreation Commission. With that said, any further discussion? Any other councilors that would like to ask questions that are here? No? With that, then maybe I'll ask a couple. Well, one, I'll make a point. You went to URI in communications.
Yes.
Excellent. Having a communicator anywhere within the city position is an excellent resource to have, so thank you for that. And honestly, I'm so impressed, and I noted to you as you were walking in, my 3 children, they're not children anymore, they're in their 20s and 30s, but they participated in Marlboro sports, especially track, so you probably missed them. It was a few years back, but great program. I'm sure one of our councilors' sons will be maybe someday running Marlboro track as well, but thank you for wanting to serve. And with that note, all in favor? You are approved. It will go to the city council meeting for the final approval.
Okay.
Thank you for your time and service tonight and in the future.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion's made to adjourn and seconded. All in favor? Personnel is adjourned at 6:20 PM on March 16th, 2026. Thank you.
Good evening. I will call to order the Finance Committee meeting on March 16th, 2026 at 6:30 PM. We have 5 items on the agenda this evening. We have a proposed salary ordinance amendment relative to the position of city solicitor, a proposed salary ordinance amendment relative to the position of assistant fire chief, communication from the Mayor Dumas with a mid-year transfer request in the amount of $917,528. We have a transfer request in the amount of $565,811 for the operation and capital items on WMCT-TV for FY 2027. We have a municipal budget resolution submitted by Councilor Vital. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome Councilor Gould to the Finance Committee. With that said, I will be going out a little bit out of order this evening. I'd like to bring the director from WMCT-TV. I'll take that order up first, and that is order number 26-100-9675, transfer in the amount of $565,811 from PEG funds to Marlboro Cable Trust to fund the operation and capital items of WMCT-TV for FY 2027. And I'll begin by reading the letter submitted by the mayor. Dear Council President Ossing and councilors, enclosed for your review and approval is a transfer request in the amount of $565,811 from the Marlboro Public Educational Government Access, which is the PEG account, to support WMC-TV operational and capital budgets. As a reminder, WMCT-TV's fiscal year runs from April 1st through March 31st. The attached letter from WMC-TV Executive Director Ryan Midyear outlines how funding will be allocated in the coming year, including both capital investments and operational expenses. Over the past year, Executive Director Midyear has continued to welcome and expand programming while successfully reducing the overall budget for the upcoming year. He and his dedicated team remain committed to delivering high-quality programming to our residents and the city. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me or my office with any questions. Sincerely, J. Christian Dumas, Mayor. Good evening, Director.
Good evening, councilors.
I would like to also say that your team is wonderful, professional, helpful, and it shows in all the programming that we're fortunate to be watching on WMC-TV. Good evening.
Good evening.
And if you would like to go over a little bit of your budget at all, or?
Sure. So I think it's sort of astonishing that in this year we were able to decrease our budget.
Saw that, yes.
Our overall appropriation is less than it was last year, and even less than it was in the previous year. And a lot of that is due to we're not going to be pushing so many large capital projects this year. This previous year, we updated a lot of the cameras and infrastructure in this room and in the school committee room. And in previous years, there were many updates made to the studio on 91 Main Street. This coming year, one of our main capital projects is to increase accessibility. There is new ADA compliance laws that are being rolled out. It won't affect Marlboro this coming year because of the population size, but the year after that, closed captioning will be mandatory, as well as other ADA compliant things for all government websites and media that is put out from the city of Marlboro. So we're concerned with the video side of things and its transmission on cable, as well as on streaming platforms, to do closed captioning and invest in that technology.
Thank you, Director. And I'll open that to any question of the finance team. Councilor Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd like to recognize and thank you for presenting a budget that's below the number from last year, and hopefully every other director within the city follows your lead as far as lowering their budget. I'd like to make a motion to approve the transfer in the amount of $565,811.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve order number 26-100-9675, transfer the amount of $565,811 from PEG funds to Marlboro Cable Trust to fund the operation and capital items of WMC-TV for FY 2027. Any further discussion, any other discussion? Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Actually, just a general question. You're talking about closed captioning and everything. Is there closed captioning being done for council meetings at this point? Because it seems that the minutes are almost a literal dictation. So is someone actually just listening and typing it in at this point?
You would have to ask your secretary here. We do not provide any closed captioning.
Okay, no, that's fine then. Okay.
YouTube automatically does its own version of closed captioning, but it's not ADA compliant. So it's not
interesting.
accurate. So when we pursue accurate closed captioning at a government level, it is still using AI, but it is a much greater AI software that will be introduced where we'll be able to make sure that councilors' names are spelled correctly, that the city of Marlborough is understood, and that will be a learning process for that AI that will be paid for on a subscription basis.
How much is that expected to cost at this point? I know it's not for next year, but curious as far as the budget for that goes.
It's estimated at $5,099 per year for the
$5,100.
for the number of council meetings and school committee as well.
Okay.
And also any key city events that would drive a larger audience view, such as a graduation ceremony, a Labor Day parade.
So effectively, everything under WMCTV would be allowed to utilize this technology going forward?
We would assess the fees as they go and see how much we're going to make accessible.
So, okay. We'll worry. Thank you for that information, so at least we understand what's going on in the future. When this comes up in the budget, I'll probably have a bunch of other questions, but it's not worth it at this point, but you brought it up, so there. But,
Well, it is in the budget for this fiscal year.
it is in
We're
the-
getting a jump start on it, so that is our main
Okay.
capital improvement this year.
Oh, okay,
Is
okay.
to do it before we're
Yep.
beating the clock.
okay, that's fine. Thank you, and thank you very much for that
Thank you.
clarification.
Councilor Orm.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I won't ask you questions about the food budget. You answered it last year for me when we were talking about your cafeteria and when you have the school students in there. Great program. We talked about the PEG funds and how we need to start looking at a better way to collect these fees, especially with them dwindling compared to where they were years ago, and it's based on cable subscription. It looks like with your budget, we'll have, for the final balance, $283,343 from those funds. But again, we're trying our side of it too, to do the best we can to get the state legislators to looking at other ways to bring in funds for the PEG funds. The only other question noted the AI technology. You're not alone. We're all in the AI technology, and I work part-time for a town right now, and they use Zoom. And there's actually, I think, paying a little more than what you noted, so that $5,000 doesn't seem unreasonable in any way. But I have seen higher costs too, so. But in your budget, as you noted, capital funding is, your capital projects are not as many as you had last year, so the reduction in your budget. And I know Councilor Vital, and we all are concerned about the budget this year, but at the same time, your budget's different from many other departments, so I'm not for sure if that can be the case in all the departments within the city. But it's going to be a tough fiscal year. But I thank you for that, though, that you found ways to save money on that. With that said, I'm in support of your budget and look forward to seeing you broadcasting throughout the city another year. Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Navin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ryan, I just want to commend you and the team for the amount of work that you guys are able to do, and has already been noted, doing probably more for a little bit less this year, because you've already done a lot of the hard work and a lot of the investments. The space is great. I know a lot of us get to see it at least every other year when we record our little messages, but the programming that you guys are able to put out and working with members of our community, you guys are really all to be commended. The only thing I wanted to ask you is, in that vein, if people want to get more involved, if people want to take advantage of the services, right? Because this is public access and you guys are really good at promoting it. But if somebody did want to get involved, how do they, they have an idea, how can they get in touch?
Sure. let me get on the soapbox again, because this is a great opportunity for anyone who is watching, that any Marlborough resident or business or nonprofit organization here in the city has access to WMCT-TV. That is the P in PEG, Public Education and Government. Our services are always free to any member of the Marlborough community. That means they have free access to not only borrowing equipment from camcorders to audio devices and using our editing workstations, but receiving free training as well. The old motto method used to be, oh, if you want to do a show, you train, and then it's yours to go. Well, that resulted in not very many shows. So now we offer a support package along with that. If someone wants to do a studio television talk show program, we provide every month that person with 2 hours of support to use the studio and 2 hours of assisted editing as well to finish putting their show together, as well with help with distributing it to YouTube, Facebook, podcast platforms, you name it. We help them the whole way through.
It's great. Well, it shows that the end products have been really great. So it seems like you guys are everywhere these days, so I don't know how you're doing it, but keep it up. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Naaman. Councilor Facillo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll keep it very brief. Thank you, Director Maliar, for being here. Just very grateful for the work that you do in our community, right? When it's public education, government access, all these different services that you provide. I get calls from constituents who tell me that they watch these meetings. Our last meeting, I had somebody who'd reached out and said, I watched last night, and they had a question about something. So you're providing an extra kind of layer of access between us and the public in order to help better serve our constituents. I know my mom and dad are going to be watching tonight. They don't miss a meeting. So I'm just so grateful for the work that you guys do for our community and being able to bring this room to households all across Marlborough. So very grateful. I'm glad Council Vital and I were able to support that resolution, and hopefully we can get some movement on Beacon Hill, but I'm in full support of the budget and appreciate your time here.
Thank you, Councilor Facillo.
Thank you.
No further discussion. Motion has been made and seconded to approve order number 26-100-9675. All in favor? Carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, Director.
Thank you all.
Could I ask for if the committee would consider suspending the rules since the fiscal year starts, the rate goes with the
Thank you, Mr. President. Is the committee okay? Okay with, thank you. Thank you, Councilor. All right. So next order I will do the mid-year transfers, and that is order number 26-100-9659. Communication from Mayor Dumas, together with a mid-year transfer request in the amount of $917,528 from various departments for FY 2026, which moves funds from and to accounts outlined in the transfer sheets. I'll begin by reading the letter submitted by the mayor. Honorable President Ossing and councilors, enclosed for your review and approval are mid-year transfer requests from the city departments. Transfers from the following departments have been included. Department of Public Works in the amount of $791,600 for various services and salary accounts relative to collective bargaining agreements per the attached letter from Commissioner Scott. Various departments from Veterans Director in the amount of $69, the Auditor in the amount of $109, Human Resource Director, Assistant, and Administrative Assistant in the amount of $279, and the Legal City Solicitor and Assistant City Solicitor in the amount of $311 to cover unfunded salary accounts through the end of the fiscal year. Fire Department in the amount of $125,000 to fund salary accounts to cover sick leave and vacation buyback relative to retirements and contractual agreements in the collective bargaining agreement. And on the fourth one is Office of the City Clerk for the City Clerk and Assistant Clerk in the amount of $160 for anticipated deficits. Department heads who have requested transfer of funds will attend a future Finance Committee meeting to discuss these requests with you in greater detail. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, J. Christian Dumas, Mayor. And then we have for the Finance team, we have the transfer sheets going down. The big item, obviously, is the DPW in the total amount of $791,600. and I'll open that up to the finance team if they have any questions. Good evening, Commissioner Scott.
Mr. Chair.
Councilor Orr.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Commissioner Scott. We kind of talked about this just before the meeting about all the money, where it's coming from, and obviously quite a few vacancies. And you were giving me a little bit of an update on the situation there. If you could maybe express what we were discussing so we know the vacancy rate and how you're doing with that.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just some background. It does seem like it's not the same. There's some positions that are vacant that have continued, but they're not all the same positions. Currently, we have 19 open positions. There's 119 employees in the DPW. 2 of those are in pre-employment with HR, and there's another one that's going to be a conditional offer soon. So just to give you a little insight on what's going on in the DPW, since the beginning of the year, we've lost 6 employees through retirement and other means. We've hired 8, and we have, like I said, we have 2 in HR. And to give you some other insight, there are, when we go out to employ, it's not like, say, the police or the fire where you're hiring patrolmen and they can fit anywhere. We have 47 distinct different positions. So, and what happens as well is when you have a promotion, you open up that position as well. So that's what's happening now. We hire a assistant civil engineer, it opens up the junior engineer again. And that's a specific job description. The SMEO in streets is different than the SMEO in water. So it facilitates us opening it up again. So it's a continuous motion. 2 weeks ago, I had 11 interviews I was in. Last week I was in 9. So, and those are the short lists. So it's time consuming, but we're making a dent in it now. And we are moving positions around. 2 of the general foremen are now out advertised, and those are the ones we are kind of waiting on, but now we're ready to pull the trigger on that. The 3rd one will probably be in a month. So we're moving along in that direction, so.
Well, thank you for your update, and thank you for your tremendous amount of work you had to do through the winter with snow removal. And my thanks to your whole department on that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Orr. Councilor Roby.
Thank you. I thought there would be other councilors before me. Mr. Scott, in the council, when we do the budget,
Yep.
Electricity is always one that is reduced. And it's, I think, probably reduced with the assumption that you can backfill it with vacancies.
Yep.
Which has been done multiple times. So if you start filling in your vacancies, and they're not vacant when we do the FY27 budget, and we still reduce electricity, how will you make that up next year?
Well, I speaking for President Ossing, you give me a budget and I make it work. So whether you cut it, whether it's electricity, then I have to reprioritize what's being utilized. Okay. So whether it's like I'm doing now, I'm moving. If I'm moving from vacant positions, if you want to cut electricity, then I have to look at mid-year the way through. How's it going? Do we have, what we deal a lot in reaction in the public sector. We come in the morning and we have something planned out and it's different. So when we get halfway through, we have a sense for what budgets are being done. Do we not do certain things, like do we not line paint the roads and use it, So we'll adjust as we see fit. I understand what you're saying in electricity. We'll take the budget you give us. I'll show you what the line items are to what was from last year and what has increased to sort of not really level fund it, but try to keep the same level of service, and then we'll work from there, so.
Okay, and then my other question is on the new union contracts. I know the contracts got approved after the budget was set, but we should have anticipated that they would be set. Why isn't there money in?
Not all of them were were
Not all of them were approved after the budget?
correct.
They were in the budget already?
No, they were approved
They were-
after.
So that, why wasn't there money put into the fund where we could use to withdraw for contracts that got approved? Is that money?
Reserved for salaries, I
Yes.
think
Did-
that was cut, that line item.
So we,
So what's on here is, you did transfer for union contracts,
yep, we did
but these are like kind of smaller ones, the contract ones. What happened was,
just the leftover from,
I have to say, DPW is very complicated when you get into interim foreman and all this type of stuff. It's very hard. The transfer that was made was just a little bit short, so I had to adjust some of the line items to make them correct. Most of them I did internally, but some of them I can't because I can only move inside the division and salaries. So these are just the ones I couldn't do internally. It's not for a lot of money. It just had to be adjusted. That's all.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Roby. Mr. President Austin.
So, to Councilor Roby's comment, I've been monitoring salaries in every department for the last 15 years that I've been assigned to the Finance Committee, and then 6 years as president. We have, every year, what's that?
Put your mic on.
It is on. Yeah. Every year, we underrun salary. Right now, today, we are $1.5 million underrunning salary. We are $900,000 underrunning in the DPW department. We're using 791 of that to offset various costs, whether it's electricity, solid waste, whatever the requests are. So I know that going in, and I try to impress upon the council that. All right? The real action should be cut the positions if we're not gonna fill them. But this is year after year after year, we underrun salary. So to say, okay, we took $100,000 and know we may need it. Yeah, but I know you won't cut salaries. You won't. But you'll cut electricity. And I know, and I have no problem sleeping at night knowing the money's gonna get transferred from underrun and salary accounts. It's not a fault of Ted's. It's not a fault of the cities. We just can't hire people. And I know that. So I know when we approve a budget, we're gonna have about $2 million under whatever we do that we tax people on, that we shouldn't be, but we do, and then we use it to fill mid-year transfers, and you're gonna see another one at the end of the year transfers. My concern is, with only $100,000 based on my math, do you have enough to hire the new folks coming in? I think you do. But Ted were to say, I've got all 19 positions filled tomorrow, there's not enough money to hire the 19 people. But I know Ted, trying as hard as he can't get people in here that fast. We'd love to have him here. So to think my preferred method is just say, take $1 million out of the budget or pick a number that you want and let them figure out where it is. Because they're gonna move money around, which is okay. But Ted said the exact thing I want to hear as a department. I make the budget work with what's approved by the city council. Period. And that's what it should be. That's what we give you. These are all managers, we give them the tools, make it work. If they need more money, they'll come back. Free cash, stabilization, underrun salary items, there's all sorts of means to move it. But when you're setting a budget and then setting the taxes, I want to make sure we're spending the allocated. So I have no issues cutting electricity, knowing that it may come back.
I don't want to have a back and back, but can I just respond? Because I think I absolutely agree with your points. I think I was trying to make the point for one of the other items on the agenda, that if in fact there is a desire to do something, the only way to do it is to cut the budget. And yes, we could start cutting salaries, but we won't. Therefore, department heads need to live with the budgets we get, and yes, Ted is doing a great job doing that, and I commend him, and as we all will. But if, for some strange reason, he can fill those 19 open positions, or even 8 of them, that's great. That means that there's less money for him to transfer in the future. yet we'll still keep making the cuts. So that will mean he will have to look at other things to make up the money. So I think we're not there yet, but we will have the budget soon. So these are all things for all department heads that we need to think about, because it's not just electricity that's being cut or that should be cut. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rowley. Councilor Doucette, and then I'll go to Councilor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So you were talking before about, within the DPW organization, people being promoted, people leaving, all this. Year over year, are you finding it trouble to fill the same position over many years, or are you filling the positions, it's just taking longer so that, in the following year, are you trying to fill the different positions or the same positions?
No, it's different positions, so the big,
So there's a wash.
we had
so-
some monumental things happen. The general foreman's salary adjustment that the council was gracious enough to grant, that's gonna allow us to hire the right people. We've been taking our time with that, and we're ready to pull the trigger on those. That has a cascading effect, and the other element was during the negotiation process, we got into the contract about performance-based interim foreman positions. That's huge. It's not seniority-based anymore, it's performance-based. With that comes, we need managers that can enact that performance requirements. In other words, we put someone in there and evaluate them. We need those people. That's what we're going through now. It takes time. So this is, we've hit the crest of the mountain, and now we're getting where we need to go. And it's changing the culture and changing the dynamics of the DPW to be performance-driven a lot more. And so we're kind of on hold a little bit there, and now we've crested, and now we're going to be taking off trying to fill these positions. And they're not the same. Just in engineering, assistant city engineer went up, opened the assistant civil who moved up.
Yeah, so
We had
everything-
junior engineers filled, and now that moves up, so now we go back out with that job description. Some are harder than others, and it was always hard to find junior engineers, and we filled 2 of them. We just filled an electrician, which floored me, because I never thought we'd get a trades person, and that's in pre-employment, so it's a hit or miss type thing. And the SMEOs and those, not a lot of people have CDLs. It's just a matter of going through as many people as you can, shortlisting, going through, and just trying to pick the right person, the right character, the right personality to meld well in the DPW.
Okay, and also, it's important to point out that what we're talking about is basically a dynamic, the positions open this year are different than the positions open last year and different than positions open next year.
Some of the positions are the same, they're not the same opening. We fill that, someone leaves, that may
Yeah.
be the same SMEO and water again,
Yeah,
but it's not
Okay.
the exact same position
okay.
because someone
Okay.
left.
Yeah, because I think that's an important nuance just to get clarified with this. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Doucette. Councilor Vital?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioner, for putting all these numbers together and playing the nut game that we do every year. I don't like spending so much on electricity, because a dollar is a dollar, whether it's coming from salaries or from electricity. I was talking with a friend who's the principal at Algonquin, and they have carports over their student parking lot that are actually solar panels. And he was told he was going to save 50% on electricity. He ended up saving like 27%. 27% of school electricity would be a nice piece of change that we could do down at the high school. Have we ever considered putting solar panels over the
Can
parking
I
lot?
ask you when he did that? Was that a few
That was
years
about
ago?
I don't know, it was a while ago.
A while ago, it was a lot different than right now. We did look into it, and a lot of it is the return is so many years out. We did look into it. We're gonna keep looking into that, but it seems like it's,
Because there's no cost setup, there's no cost to putting them in, right?
yeah, the structure cost, there's a big upfront cost with the structure and everything. If you already had a structure and you replace the panels, that's why like a roof on a school is something that makes sense. When you have to build the structure, that's where kind of became cost prohibitive.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Orr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You hit a certain point that I really always ask questions on too, and that's energy. Look what's going on right now. Prices of oil is going up, and so forth and so on. So I think we're going to see, and I hope we see this, more clean energy. Our governor just enacted something today on clean energy. So hopefully, the canopies they have at the Wayland Town Hall could be in Marlboro at a school, and maybe the upfront cost will be able to be managed with the price of oil going up. And I am not in favor of any use of oil or gas, if we can avoid it, by implementing new technologies that are clean energy. I keep bringing it up at the budget time too. And cutting electricity budgets is the incentive, in my view, to keep trying to look for that. That's why I keep trying to cut that. It's just not shutting off the lights, I know that. So hopefully continue with that to try to implement more clean energy. And I think we need, as everyone in this country needs to look, and the world needs to look at implementing cleaner energy, and we'll see the savings in the long run, because oil is vulnerable, as we see. And unfortunately, people die over it too. SMEOs.
Special Maintenance Equipment Operators.
Thank you. You said it several times.
They're laborers, and they also they have their CDL, commercial driver's license, and they also have their hoisting license to operate loaders, skid steers, excavators.
Are you finding this, I'm sure you talk with your fellows in other cities and towns, are they finding the same trend of finding qualified candidates is getting more difficult?
So one of the reasons we weren't, we waited for the negotiations to try to get the salaries up to see if we can attract people from other, we have got some, to be honest, some of the ones we had, we interview anybody that has their CDL. They haven't been the most attractive. It seems like we're getting more people that don't have their CDL. But we have hired some that have their CDL. So it's hard.
I understand. And
we'd rather hire someone with the right work ethic, right personality, right idea of doing stuff than someone that just happens to have their CDL. We can train someone to do the actual work, but to have the right work ethic is more important to us.
And my last question, if I may, Mr. Chair. What can we send out to our residents to help with the increased cost in rubbish collection? Is there a way more in the recycling bin, or is there another avenue we need to be looking at, like bringing the cardboard down to the transfer station? As you indicated to me, is a good situation. But again, that's gone up quite a bit. That went up, what was it, through 283, I think, when I looked at the paperwork. That's a lot. And rubbish isn't cheap. What can we send out to our residents to say, help us?
It's difficult because unless you have a specific contract, they don't monitor how much you recycle. So you're not getting, we could recycle, but if the other towns aren't, you're not getting any discount. The recycling, the more you recycle, the better, because that's at $95 a ton instead of $124 a ton. So the more people can recycle, the better.
Yep.
However, we know that people don't always play by the rules, so.
And when is that contract coming up, rubbish and recycling?
We just did that.
So
That was just last July 1st of '25. So we have it for another 5 years.
5 years,
Yep.
okay, good. But
And that was the difference. That was the renegotiation of the contract.
Yeah.
We had a nice deal going. It's like any contract. You're making a deal, and then sooner or later, you gotta pay the piper. Sooner or later, you gotta catch up, and that was the catch-up.
I see.
So we were making out there for a while, now we catch up for another 5 years, and God knows what will happen in 5 years, but.
So the message is, use the green bins, try to avoid using the blue bins, but make sure it's recycling in
Make
there.
sure it's
Or we will
recycling.
have an enforcer out there making sure. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion for the DPW. Oh, Council Austin.
Mr. Chair, you gotta do a page turn. You gotta take each number individually so the councils know what they're voting on, because I have questions on some of the sheets. So start with the 300,000, go to the next page and the next page and work your way through.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay. So starting with the first one with the 300,000 on the electricity side, Mr. President, that one?
That is correct.
Yeah, thank you. I will entertain a motion for the 300,000.
Motion to approve.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next item on flipping the pages is 286,000 to go to the rubbish collection adjustment to new contract. I will entertain a motion.
I got a question once there's a motion made.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the 286,000. Any further discussion? President Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Ted, there's 286,000, then there's a 14,000, so I assume they're both for the increased contract?
Correct.
So that's a
$300,000.
$300,000 increase, so if my math works, that's a 10% increase in the rubbish collection, because we've got $3 million in the budget for,
It's 4 million. You got recycling and trash. It's at 4.
I'm just going, the money that's going into this 52920
Right.
rubbish collection account is 286,000, and the next page is 14, so that's 300,000.
True.
The
Yep.
total budget.
If you wanna
for
take it in the one
collection is
account.
3
Yep,
million.
yep.
So my question is, how much is the contract? So this is to finish fiscal year 26.
Yep.
You're gonna submit a fiscal year 27, so you're gonna start at 3.3 million. What's the percentage increase for 2027?
I don't know what the percentage, but it is, next year's budget to keep on contract
Yeah.
is close to 600,000. Because we gotta make up for this one.
Right, yeah. Well,
And-
we're
and for
adding
next
3
year's.
So basically telling me it's another $300,000 for next
Correct.
year as well.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Next item on the flipping of the pages is a $150,000 transfer.
Did you want to vote, Mr. Chair, did you want to vote on that one
Oh,
individually?
yes, so, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve the
Motion to approve the
14,000 and the
286,000. All in, thank you, Counselor. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, Counselor. Next is the $150,000 increased usage of electricity. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the $150,000 for electricity. Any further discussion?
Chair. So just,
I think we did that one already.
President Austin?
so Ted, the money that's encumbered and carried over, is that to pay the prior year's bills, or is that leftover money from last year? So for this,
Encumbered where?
Can I pay for this?
so in August,
In electricity?
that is correct, yeah. So there's 178 encumbered for the school side and 199.
Is to pay the next bill.
So it's to pay.
To pay the bill we haven't got, is pay June's bills.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Motion's been made, and I will make a motion to approve the $150,000. Any motion to approve the 150? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That carries. Next up is, going down the list, is $18,000 for professional technical services to fund additional services.
Mr. Chair,
Councilor Patillo?
move to approve.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the $18,000. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next up is $10,000 for the increased overtime cost.
Mr. Chair,
Plant.
What are you reading from?
Page 5.
Page 5.
Just take the bottom number at the bottom, the total.
Oh, the total, Mr. President. So on the next page, on page 5, the total is $35,200. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve. All in, any further discussion?
Mr.
Councilor Biden.
Chair, all these adjustments to salaries, Mr. Commissioner, are these becoming effective 7/1?
No, so what happened was, I was trying to explain that before, with contracts and COLA, the transfer that was made wasn't quite enough, because it was confusing. So ordinarily, I just internally transfer to make up the shortfall in salary, and these, I didn't have any extra money in that division, in that salary item to make up for it, so I need to,
Are these for collective bargaining positions or for,
yeah, so it was based upon the contract, so that it's not just the salary, there's other things such as interim foreman, overtime, everything had to be adjusted, so that's where salaries, sometimes I borrowed from the salary to pay for overtime, so this is just getting money back.
so tell me when, so will these be effective when we vote on it at the next council meeting?
Yeah, yes, for this year, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chair.
Councilor Biden. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the 14,000, all in, of the $35,200. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that carries. Next up on the next one is for $14,000 for the rubbish collection, for adjustments to the new contract. I know we discussed part of the new contract. I'll
Motion
entertain
to
a-
approve.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the $14,000 mid-year transfer. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next up is a total of $6,400. These are salary adjustments. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the mid-year transfer in the amount of $6,400. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That carries. That should end the DPW side, which would be a total of $791,600 mid-year transfer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next up is the mid-year transfer for the fire department and vacation sick time buyback. This is an increase due to the contractual increases, so basically, due to the last CBA contract, this total amount is for $125,000. And I will go through, if anyone had any questions, I personally do not, but the total is $125,000, and I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the mid-year transfer request in the amount of $125,000. Any further discussion? Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I did have a couple of questions. If the
Thank you.
chief or comptroller want to come up? Congratulations again.
Oh, thank you very much.
So, the letter states 3 retirements. So I went back to the retirement board, and I can only come up with 2. Am I missing one, or is one projected?
We have 2 projected.
2 projected for the balance coming in this year?
Correct. One's leaving the end of March, and the other one leaves at the end of April, I believe. And the other one was Chief Green.
Yes. Okay, no, that's what I need. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
No other questions?
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the $125,000 transfer. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It carries. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. Next up is mid-year transfers with the Auditor, Legal, Veterans, and Human Resources Department. This is totaling $768. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that carries. Next up is the 2 salary line items that are slightly underfunded for the city clerk's office, and this is in a total amount of $160. I know I reached out to the city clerk. I have no issues with this particular one, but I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the $160 mid-year transfer for the clerk's office. Any further discussion? I will second that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? That carries.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. President.
could I ask for the finance committee to consider suspending the rules so the auditor can get these in March before the April books?
I'm sorry, what was that, Mr. for the auditor?
Yeah, can you ask for a suspension of the rules?
Yep. Is the finance committee okay with the suspension of the rules? Perfect. Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, next up, we will now go back in order. The next item on the agenda is order number 26-100-9639, proposed salary ordinance amendment pursuant to Chapter 125 Personnel, Section 6, salary schedule relative to the position of the city solicitor. I will begin by reading the letter submitted by the mayor. Dear Council President Ossing and councilors, enclosed for your review and approval, please find an amendment to the city's salary ordinance for the city solicitor's position. The purpose of this ordinance update is to bring this position into alignment with others that have previously been sent down. The proposed changes are part of our ongoing effort to finalize updates for all positions. Given that this position has not been updated since 2017, an adjustment is necessary to reflect current market conditions, support employee retention, remain competitive with surrounding communities, and strengthen long-term succession planning within the department. With only cost of living adjustments applied since 2017 and no additional incentives or stipends comparable to those included in union contracts, these positions are being reviewed to ensure just wages within the Commonwealth and surrounding areas. I appreciate your consideration. Please do not hesitate to contact me or my office with any questions. Sincerely, J. Christian Dumas, Mayor. I personally fully support this position. I will open it up to the finance team. I know that we've previously had a lot of discussions on budget talks and getting to a number for the budget. I know that we had it built into the budget for the assistant police chief. So I certainly would be supporting this. I would be probably looking at an effective date. It is July 1st, 2026, but I will open that up to the finance team.
Motion to accept.
Councilor Vital.
Motion to accept.
So what we'll be doing is motion to approve the amendment.
Motion to approve the increase.
Yep. Motion's been made and seconded to approve order number 100-9639, proposed salary ordinance amendment pursuant to Chapter 125 Personnel, Section 6, salary schedule relative to the position of city solicitor. I would like to see it effective date July 1st, 2026. Any further discussion? President Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support the July 1st. I think all these things should be July 1st. And paying back in arrears, I don't think is a good position to put the council or the city in.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that, Mr. President. Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just for clarification, with Council Vital's motion, this would make it effective July 1st, 2026.
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Council.
Councilor Roby.
So are you amending the order? Because the order has January 1st, 2026.
So, if I can, yeah, we can make it whatever, it's not amending the order, we're changing it to say it's July 1st.
Right,
based
but
on that motion.
was the motion for July 1st or January 1st? I just want clarification.
July
The
1st.
motion is for July 1st.
Okay.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve order number 26-100-9639. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. President.
can I ask for the Finance Committee to consider suspending the rules to advertise?
Thank you.
advise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for, and I would do that when I report it out on the Monday night meeting, Mr. President? Yes.
Right.
And the finance team would be fine with suspension to advertise. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Next up is order number 26-100-9640, proposed salary ordinance amendment pursuant to Chapter 125, Personnel, Section 6, salary schedule relative to the position of Assistant Fire Chief. I'll begin by reading the letter submitted by the mayor. Dear Council President Ossing and councilors, enclosed for your review and approval, please find an amendment to the city salary ordinance for the Assistant Fire Chief's positions. The purpose of this ordinance update is to bring this position into alignment with the deputy police chief position. With impending changes in the fire department in the coming weeks, it is necessary to reevaluate the assistant fire chief salary to ensure it remains competitive, supports retention of our highly valued employees, and prepares for an anticipated vacancy. Based on current union salaries in lower-ranked positions, it is important to maintain a competitive salary for those who supervise these roles. This adjustment is necessary not only for the retention and competitive recruitment, but also to uphold appropriate organizational and professional standards within the department. As noted in other correspondence, the salary for the assistant fire chiefs have not been updated since 2017, and I feel now is the time to amend this ordinance. I appreciate your consideration, and please do not hesitate to contact me or my office with any questions. Sincerely, J. Christian Dumas, Mayor. I propose again, this is a job, the position that I fully support, and similar like it says about the police chief position, I would certainly entertain a motion, as the previous motion would be to support this and make the amendment as effective July 1st, 2026.
So moved.
Motion's been made and second. Motion's been made. I will ask if it's okay for the Finance Committee to have the mayor speak.
You're the chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I just want to add one comment. The reason why we backdated to October 8th was because that's the first day that the deputy police chief started with his new contract. So that's the only reason why we did October 8th. It wasn't just an arbitrary date that we picked. It was just to make sure that everything was fluid with that. However you decide that, that's the reason why we chose that date.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm glad you clarified
So there's
that.
that same with the deputy chief and now, so it's consistent throughout all of our assistant chiefs, both for public safety. However you decide, that's fine with me. I just want some context behind, that's why we chose that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
If I could, Mr. Chair.
President Austin.
So I noticed there's no, since our chief has moved out of one of the assistant fire chief positions, there's nothing advertised. Are we hiring internally? How are we going about filling the second?
We will be filling that role for the new fiscal year of July 1st.
So with that, Mr. Chair, I recommend that the starting salary stay at July 1st, 2026. And the order would have to be advertised.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Chair, I'm looking at the salary grade for 2017, and it doesn't have any of the steps except for step 7.
Correct. We created a step program so it mirrors the same as a deputy chief.
Can you tell me just how much it's going up in step 1? Because if we hire a new deputy chief, they would go to step 1. What is it now, and you're recommending that it goes up to 165,000? What is it now?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. President.
So the assistant fire chief ops is currently making $144,923,000.
104.
That position would see a 20 grand increase.
Ooh.
The assistant superintendent fire chief is making $157,989, and that would see a $7,000 increase. Now, I agree, aligning the fire department, the police department is the right thing to avoid any challenges. My next challenge I'm gonna see is I want 2 deputy police chiefs. I can see that one's coming.
None on my watch, there will be.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
So, does that answer your question, Councilor Biden?
It does.
So to put in
Thank you, Mr. President.
So to put things in perspective, so if you want to talk about succession planning, the battalion chiefs that are underneath the assistant chief are the top 4 make 200 and then some. So when you talk about succession planning, you want an internal candidate. If the battalion chief wants to go to assistant chief, they'll be taking a pay cut. So having said that, there's a fine balance that we have to go in between the battalion chief and what the current assistant chief makes now. So, and then to the next point is, so if the assistant chief that's currently now in this position, if he doesn't start till July 1st, the deputy chief would have the 6-month increase. So then there will be a pay increase. So the new deputy chief will be already making step 2 before the assistant chief will be making step 1. So you can see how difficult this is when you try to have complete transparency and when you try to pay equitably. So now you have a new position that was created, already making more money than an existing public safety assistant chief as well. Again, that's why we backdated to October 8th. I'm not trying to push that argument, but these decisions that you make have consequences regarding the positions that are currently in now.
I'll yield to Councilor Wu.
Councilor Ruby.
Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, if the police chief was changed in October, why
Deputy
didn't you
chief.
come to us, deputy chief? Why didn't you come to us to alter the fire assistant chief so they would be comparable at the same time? And won't there always be an equity issue if one leaves and you hire someone new?
There will be,
They're
but
never going to be paid the same amount of money.
correct, but that's for the long term. Like, I'm focusing on this current situation that we're in now. So when you see the salary study come down, I'm in the same predicament that we are in now. When you have people that are here for long term, and then if you start them at step 1, there's a pay discrepancy. Now, it's unfortunate, like, this is where we're at currently, based upon this salary study that we're currently in.
But aren't we here where we are because this was not brought to us in November, but instead in January?
So-
Why do we have to back pay instead
fair.
of paying going forward?
Correct.
Mr. Chair.
President Ossie?
You can argue the equity thing. This is what, the adjustments are significant, and the council's deciding when the adjustments take effect, all right? And if the motion's been made and seconded to start at July 1st, 2026 at $165,000, that's what's gonna be in the budget.
Correct.
And it's gonna be a significant adder from the current salaries. It just is, all right? So the equity part, I get it, but I'm not the equity guy. I'm the money guy, all right? And I got taxpayers to answer to, not that I treat someone fairly. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, President Ossie. Councilor
Mr.
Biden.
Chair, thank you. So I defer to the president. If this goes into effect, we're talking about a $40,000 increase between the two deputy chiefs?
For the current pay scale, yes.
Thereabouts?
Be $27,000.
27 for both of them?
Well, no, combined.
Combined
You go
would be
from-
40.
If I can, Mr. Chair, if you go from the current salary, $144,000 and $157,000, and you make them both $165,000, be about $27,000.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, with that said, motion has been made and seconded to approve order number 26-100-9640, proposed salary ordinance amendment pursuant to Chapter 125 Personnel, Section 6, Salary Schedule, relative to the position of the Assistant Fire Chief to have an effective date as of July 1st, 2026, and also ask for suspension to advertise. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? 1. Thank you, Council Biden.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next item on the agenda. Is the resolution, so it's order number 26-100-9670, resolution from Council Vital, municipal budget. And I will read the letter that was submitted by Council Vital for the resolution. Whereas the City Council recognizes the importance of maintaining essential municipal services while also ensuring that increases in residential property taxes remain reasonable and predictable for homeowners. And whereas the rising cost of municipal operations require careful fiscal planning to balance services delivery with taxpayers' affordability. And whereas prior municipal budgets have resulted in increased financial pressure on residential taxpayers, and the City Council seeks to establish clearer limits and greater predictability in future budget proposals, be it resolved that the mayor is hereby requested to submit a proposed municipal operating budget for the upcoming fiscal year that limits the impact on residential property taxes to no more than an average increase of $250 per residential property, and this was submitted by Councilor Vital. And I do respect Council Vital for sending this down, and I certainly will be supporting my colleague on the council with this, and I will open that up to Council Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I speak for everyone here, but maybe not. But every time we get a budget, we always have a discussion about transferring, pick a number and the department heads will figure it all out. And that's really not how we should be doing a budget. We should be doing a budget by saying, okay, what level of money do we need to balance all the operational costs along with our property taxes that we have to assign to our residents. And we just kind of wing it. We just kind of go down a long list, and I don't feel comfortable about taking 100,000 or 100 million away from electricity on the DPW side of things, or whatever it might be. I don't know enough about the budget to be able to make some of the cuts that we have done in the past. And we never make as many cuts as we should. So I wanted to try to get a little bit proactive in the process, rather than being reactive at the end when all these department heads have already talked with the mayor and discussed their budgets, and we get this big pile of money that we have to fund. I thought that it would be wise for us to take a proactive stance and say, Mr. Mayor, department heads, we can't do what we did last time. We can't ask our residents to pay another high property tax bill. We just can't. And I know we don't like cutting wages, but if we need to cut wages, we need to cut wages. We can't continue to charge our families and our seniors a huge amount. We're forcing our seniors to have to sell their house because we keep giving them a $500 or $300, whatever it might be, a large property tax bill. We can't continue to do it that way. We keep kicking the can down the road, but the can's going to come back and kick us one of these years. So that's why I presented this resolution.
Thank you, Councilor. And I do want to mention, because I know Councilor Roby has mentioned it during the Monday night meeting before this went into committee, and she is absolutely correct. When we come time to have our budget hearings, you have a line item and we can cut it. I don't know how much this will have for the mayor to go forward with and adhere to, but I think it's a great heads up to respectfully show the mayor where we're heading during the budget season. So respectfully, I do support this. But there's no question with some of the things that Councilor Roby had said at the meeting are true. We don't know some of the outcome. We don't know what the asset it's going to be, what the health care. So there's a lot of speculation in there we don't know. But I do support you, Council Vital, and I will open that to the rest of the committee. Councilor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Councilor Vital, for proposing this. And as you know, I've enjoyed the last 2 fiscal years being with you on the Finance Committee and working through that budget. Off the top of my head, I could be wrong, but I think we've supported close to $2.1 million worth of adjustments as a group. And I know Councilor Gould is new to the committee, but with Councilor Brown, right, we had worked hard on so many long nights to comb through it and to try to make adjustments for the sake of maintaining, right, essential municipal services, like you said, Councilor Vital, while ensuring that increases on property taxes remain reasonable. Now, we failed to do that this year. We had a significant, budget increase, one that's unprecedented for the city of Marlborough. But with that being said, I don't know what fiscal year 2027 is going to look like. I haven't gotten a chance to take a crack at the budget, and I feel that as councilors, we do get a chance to take a crack at the budget, like Councilor Roby said a couple meetings ago. So, although I appreciate the resolution and I appreciate kind of the avenue in which you're trying to go about this, Councilor Vital, I don't want to have the mayor or department heads feeling as if they don't have the confidence in the council and vice versa. I want them to come down here with a budget, and if we have to make significant alterations, if we have to make significant cuts, then I will, sit through that night, and if it has to be many nights, right, I will sit there and do that with this council. I just worry that by, tying the mayor's hands a little too quickly here, we could get into a troublesome spot as a council. We get a crack at it just like, we do get the crack at it as a council. So, for myself, I'll sit here as long as it takes on those nights. And you're completely correct. There have been years in which we probably should have cut more. We know that, right? We're always operating. We just saw the mid-year transfers. We'll see the year-end transfers. There's always going to be, empty positions. There's going to be salaries that are not filled. That money is going to be there. So, but with that respect, I don't think I can support this resolution tonight. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Fitzgerald. President Ossing.
Thank you, sir. I think here on today, we all can say we're going to be tough on the budget this year. We're going to be making those cuts. We got to do what we can for our residents until we get inundated with emails from the school, from the teachers, until we're picketed out in front of City Hall by the teachers. And then we got to come in here and we melt, at least based on our previous history, recent previous history. Well, I think we just need to take a stand ahead of time and say, this is where we are tonight, and this is where we hope to be at budget time. And the only way that happens is that we got to take it strong tonight, not at budget time, because that just doesn't happen. I yield back to Mr. President.
President Ossing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple things. Why I admire the resolution, I struggle supporting it. And my compromise would be, when the mayor submits the budget, have the comptroller send down what a $250 tax adjustment figure is going to look like. My guess it's going to be around $8 million, maybe 8.5-ish. All right. So far, Aspen Valley, $1.5 million increase. Pension, $400,000 increase. Water, $400,000 increase. Thank you, Councilor Nader, for that information. It's not his fault. School, and I'm going to give Jason a lot of credit down at the superintendent of the school. He's got it around 2.9 million so far. That's huge. That's great. Compared to 8-point-something last year. All right? Salaries, everybody gets a 3% raise. That's about $2 million. So Mike's math is I'm at 7.2 million, and I haven't touched bonds, health insurance, any other fun stuff. Based on a 4% increase of our current budget of 213 million, that would be coming around 8.5 million if you want a 4% increase in the budget. We know our state increase is 0 this year, all right? So you got budget equals state money plus local receipts plus taxes. Well, I'm starting with 1/3 of my equation at 0 for an increase, all right? So it's either going to be made up by local receipts or taxes. Take your pick, all right? So the hard work comes at budget time when the budget comes down. And that's our job to adjust the budget. The mayor's job is to go say what he needs or he thinks he needs to run the city. Our job is to go adjust that. Excluding last year, the prior 15 years, and I just didn't go back any further, the average house tax increase was less than $200. This year was the first time it exceeded that at $591 for the average tax. All right, that was a $17 million increase in the budget. We've never seen anything close to that. That was double what we've ever had in the past. So the message, if you want to be at 250 for an average tax increase, you're probably looking around a 4% increase in the budget. But I would, instead of the resolution, I would ask that the comptroller just send down, if that's what you want, what's a $250 increase look like for a budget increase? Because he's good, the comptroller, when he sends the budget, is going to tell you what he thinks, and he's been pretty darn good, what the budget's going to cost us for the average house. I mean, he's gotten good at it. Thank you, Brian. All right, and so we know that, and it's going to be within the, plus or minus, but if you don't like it, if it comes down to $500 and you don't like it, well, it's probably pretty simple, you got to cut the budget. Right? And I'll put my plug in for projects. You got to approve projects. You can't reject every project that comes before the council. We need new growth, period. End of statement. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, President Ossing. I'll go to Councilor Naving. Then I'll go to what you said.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Glad I didn't raise my hand before President Nossing. It was well said. I'll add my voice to the chorus commending Councilor Vital for putting something forward that, clearly articulates, some of the fears that we're all facing based on escalating budgets, escalating cost of living. I find myself in a similar position to the President and Councilor Fucillo. We come year over year. We don't, what Councilor Vital said, we have varying levels of experience here on the council, but any of us have the level of insight, save maybe the President, of the day-to-day runnings of the city. We don't communicate as often as we send things to our department heads. We don't communicate on a daily basis. We don't have a real intimate knowledge of the running of each of these departments. I think personally it would be penny wise and pound foolish to put these constraints on the mayor. It's his job to understand what it takes to run this city, and it's his job to then send down what he thinks. And we all hear from residents about the increases in taxes. Guess who else hears about that? The mayor. And it is his job to still send down what he believes is both needed for his department heads. He gets it on both sides. He gets it from the department heads, and then he gets it from the residents who get the tax bills. So I am concerned by putting an arbitrary number on what the budget would look like. As the President said, that's our job. There's not, I don't like to say this out loud, and I don't take it lightly, there are not a lot of jobs that we have here on the council. Mind you, for zoning and special permits, we don't get to increase the budget, we get to cut the budget. I don't want to give one more thing away, as far as influence is considered here. It's our job. I take a little bit of umbrage, Councilor Vital, and I don't take it in any sort of negative way, but I don't think we melt just when we hear advocacy of other people. I know we were all a little stressed about the increase in the school budget last year, but putting that aside, I think that when people advocate, we do listen, and sometimes we do have a hard time cutting things because we see firsthand what the impacts are, and so. I'm a little concerned by taking a vote now when we haven't seen the details. So I don't want to keep going on, but I do believe this is our job, and I know we are all. President's been teeing us up now for a few months. I think we're all ready to really dig into the budget a little bit harder this year, and dig into serious reviews of the projects that come before us. And I'd say dig into advocating for more state aid, but I think we're a little out of luck on that one for this go round. So. That said, again, I do want to thank you, Councilor Vital, for bringing this forward. I think it's an important conversation that we have in advance of the budget coming down from the mayor. And so,
Thank you, Councilor Navin.
Thanks.
Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Councilor Vital, for bringing this up. I have a couple of concerns. I think Councilor Ossing really summarized it pretty well as far as having this be a guideline for us versus a hard framework, to have the comptroller come back and say, okay, if the budget's going to increase by, I don't like straight numbers because they tend to die with inflation, but percentages would be better. So 4% or something, whatever we feel is appropriate, but anything beyond that would have to cut like this much money coming out of the controller as a report. So we know when we get into the budget, effectively how much we need to cut, instead of just kind of, I think this or I think that. So I think that would be a good guideline for that. But also, I think the other thing to take into account is 3 years ago, the city had a zero tax rate increase, okay? And I know enough about industry and businesses that a 0% eventually you have to pay back later, okay? And that's what we did this year, okay? Because we can argue about the numbers, but at the end of the day, that seemed to have been the result. Instead of having this regular standard trend going in one direction, we had a dip and an override, but it still averages out in that direction, okay? So I think we just, we got a low, we got a high, but on the average out, it will. But I think, if we can change the amount to be a percentage and to have the comptroller report what sort of cuts would be required to get to that goal, means that it puts the resolution on us, not the mayor, when we come to the budget review. And I think that would be the better way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Doucette. Council Orem, and then I'll go to Council Wilson.
Thank you. Great comments from everyone, and I don't disagree. We have got to make sure we are trying our best to provide for both ends of our generations, our youth in schools and our seniors that are barely making it. And that's been the way here for many years. I've stood up on this floor prior when I was a Ward 6 councilor, talking about my mother not being able to afford going into a new condo because her house wouldn't sell and she couldn't afford the HOA funds. So growth is important, but new growth has to be controlled growth. You need appropriate planning, or you're going to find services are going to be required for that growth, and it may be more than what you are getting in taxes. That is so important to take an understanding of. It's just not as easy as saying new growth, in my view. But indeed, our seniors, I've been there, I've seen it with my own family. But at the same time, if we start trying to shortchange our schools, I can promise you the real estate market will be talking to you, because a city or a town sells on their school services. They're important. Not just important for the sale of your city or the benefit of people moving in, but for your children who you are sending to school. You want them to have the best. And I will continue to support our schools that we provide the best, and trust our comptroller on what he provides us. And it's serious, and I agree. The seniors we need to start looking at more programs. Councilor Vital, you're right on with that. The uncontrolled cost. Energy. We talked about energy tonight. Energy is an uncontrolled cost, and the state not funding us, they're in trouble as much as we are. And what I see is that it is going to be a tough year. We should look at all revenues, including MEDC, and I will bring that up again, because that's close to $1 million a year that they get from taxes that could go into our coffers. So let's make sure when we look at the budget, and we're going to look at cutting, let's make sure we treat all people drawing from our taxes the same way. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Council Orem. President Rossi.
So two things. Council Orem, the MEDC funds are not going in anybody's coffers. Those are monies paid by people that go into the hotels. So that's an incorrect statement. You get on this every time, and I have to correct you every time. It's not, that's money that goes into from the hotel tax that pays for MEDC. Not a taxpayer is impacted in this city by that. So that's just a wrong statement that I will continue to harp on every time you mention it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm going to go to Council Doucette.
I want to respond to that. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm going to Council Roby. Council Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not on the Finance Committee, so I don't really have a vote tonight, but I know there was discussion about changing this order to word it differently so that it was really put on almost the council agrees to a 4% increase. And I'm not sure that the council really wants to, at this point, make that decision. That was what I tried to impress upon you when I spoke when this was on the agenda. The mayor gives us a budget, and then the council looks at it and decides if we need to cut it. If you have in mind 4% your goal, then cut it to that. But why? I guess it's 4% because it gets us to an average increase of $250. Yes. But why an average increase of $250? I still am just amazed that there's this magic number that somebody thinks is the right number to increase the taxes when we don't know what our bigger numbers are going to be. And yes, it's nice to hear that the schools might not go up 4.6 million, and it wasn't 4.6, 7.2 million for the schools and 4.5 for the insurance. But my guess is, since they increased last year, that they're going to increase more than, I mean, if it's only 4%, that would be amazing, but insurance is not going to increase 4%. So why not just let the mayor present his budget, and then let this council work at that budget to decide where we agree as a group that budget should be, and take this resolution and say, thank you for bringing it to us our attention, but file it.
Thank you, Councilor Roby. Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Two things in the last conversation that happened. First is, for MEDC, it is the restaurant, no, it's the hotel tax to do that. So some tax is being paid by someone, okay? If someone from Marlborough does an overnight at, one of the hotels, they're gonna be paying taxes that way, even though most of it's coming from outside. But what I understand is that revenue has to be used for MEDC. That was part of the agreement of standing up MEDC as an organization, and we can't use it for something else, okay?
Yes.
So we can't put it to public arts or anything like that. It's stuck for MEDC, so let's put that clear out first. Second is, as far as, what I understood what President Austin was saying is effectively, if we're going to do a budget, then have the comptroller say, okay, if it was going to be a 4% increase in budget, then that 4% would be X. Our budget is Y, so you need to cut council between X and Y. Okay, so that's more of a statement, again, that puts the responsibility to cut it, to stay within that budget range, to us. And the intent of where did that number come from, what we're trying to do is figure out what was the historical average growth of the bill over the last however time it was. And that seems to be around $250 or 4%, something like that. And if we want to nitpick to specific multiple digits of precision here, I would say no. Round numbers are easy to work with, when we actually do something like this. But I like the idea of, basically, the mayor brings down the budget, we're giving, a framework to say, this is how much we need to cut, figure out where those cuts are, guys, and that's where we pull out and start doing the work. I think that seems to be the best way to combine what Councilor Vital and President Ossing has been saying. I hope that clarifies things a little better, because if that's the case, I'll support it. If it stays the way it is, I'm not. So.
Understood, Councilor.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Vital.
Mr. Chair, the magic number, Councilor Roby, is 0. If the best number that we can present to our residents is that we're not going to increase their property taxes. I had to try to find something that was historically something that was, like a pill that they could swallow and not necessarily like, but they can live with it. And that's where the 250 came from. There was a previous council that, and I don't know how many years ago, and I like this model a little bit better. If we follow exactly what Mr. President said and Councilor said, that about finding the number from the solicitor, comptroller, finding the number that we're going to balance them off with. I guess the council in the previous council, rather than us trying to do that, the council made a motion when they heard the number that the mayor brought down as a budget and the number we wanted to get, say, to have a $250 increase. The council just sent it back to the mayor and said, Mr. Mayor, you need to take another $3 million off this budget. I feel the mayor understands the line items of each individual department head much better than we do, because he's down there in the trenches with the department head working these numbers out. So I like the whole model of finding, getting the budget, hearing just whatever we agree to, whether it's $250, $200, whatever it is, and then ask whatever the difference is between what we get from the comptroller and what the mayor gives us, and then send it back to the mayor and say, Mr. Mayor, you take another $2 million off the budget. If that's what we can generally agree to in principle, then I withdraw the resolution.
Thank you, Councilor. Now, again, like President Ossing, Councilor Roby has mentioned before, and for Council Fitzgerald, we have a budget, we have line items, and that's where we do the cutting. Then we start to get into a particular situation where if the finance team doesn't hold the budget hearings and keep sending it back, we could lose time frame, and the total budget would be approved. The time frame, if we don't act on the budget submitted by the mayor. So that's where we kind of get into a little bit of a gray area that I would not want to be in. Again, Council Vital, I support you because you're my colleague on the finance team, but that Council Roby, Council President Ossing, and Council Fitzgerald has mentioned it, that it is hard to get to that 250 because we don't know what the budget's going to be. We don't know what asset, we don't know what the healthcare, and of course, just the retirement alone. So it is very hard to get to this, though I understand where you're going at, but it might not be.
And that's why I would.
No, I understand, and I understand, Council Vital, and it just might not be feasible to get that way. But again, I said this gives an opportunity to respectfully say to the mayor, we're looking at this budget, as well as the finance committee and the rest of the council. At least now we're aware, and maybe we will now go in force to look at those individual line items and make that decision to cut, because sometimes it's not easy. But I'll let you continue, Council Vital.
I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
Council Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to make the same point that you just made, that we have a certain date after which we get the budget that it has to be approved, or the number that the mayor sends down is what is our budget, or if no. So that concerns me also.
Yes.
And the fact that you are ignoring your one of the few things we can do as a council in looking at the budget that the mayor gives us and cutting where we need it by sending it back to him to make him cut the budget. The mayor sends us a budget. It's our responsibility as elected officials to then decide if that's the budget we want. Why would we give that up?
Thank you, Council Roby. Council.
Well, I will say, putting this resolution on the floor has allowed us to discuss the budget prematurely, which is fine. Send some messages out there. And again, for the people that weren't here, and I wasn't here either, this city council voted for the hotel tax through sending an order to the legislation at the state level to have that money just on economic development. But you look at any other city and town in this state, that money goes into the coffers of that municipality. We're the only city in the state that does it differently. And in all respects, when I say that $1 million a year or close to it could be helping the residents of this city, because I can promise you, I've checked it, I've done surveys, even in Boston, Waltham, economic development, they don't spend close to $1 million a year. We do. I like some of the packages, but I don't like the legislation on it. And the only way it will change is someday when some city councilors realize the impact it's caused to our residents, they will start to change that back to where it should be. We, city councilors, deserve that control. Not any other group, might they be from or out of the city of Marlborough. And I will continue to press that and debate it, because that is the actual facts. That money that we collect from hotel tax in every other city and town that has hotel taxes goes into their coffers. So I'm not inaccurate in stating that. But indeed, we have legislation that I'm not in agreement with. If I was a city councilor back then, I'd be talking about it then. In fact, the Ward 3 councilor voted against it back in those days. He saw the writing on the wall, and he was a lawyer. But again, that's for another day. Back to Councilor Vital's, I would suggest with Councilor Vital's resolution that it's a little premature, but it did get us the chance to start talking about the budget. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
And you are right, Councilor Orm. We'll have plenty of time to talk about any other budget when it becomes before us, but right now we're on this resolution. Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much. I believe that the only way that it would be hotel tax would be changed would actually have it approved at the State House. Yeah, so passed
We'd
twice.
have to petition.
Just to clarify the situation, and anytime you want to submit the order to change it so it could go to economic development and other services, bring it up to the council and see how the vote goes, sir, you know. So, okay, fine.
And you're right, Councilor.
I mean, yeah.
And
I
I
mean,
don't
if
wanna
that's what you
throw-
want, go right ahead, and then we got to convince the state to do it too.
And I don't want to prolong that this is a discussion for another day.
Yeah,
But
no.
there are other communities that have been working.
Understood.
Hudson, Grafton, there's a lot of communities that have been trying to do their economic, Westboro as well.
Right.
So it's not new, but we'll save that for a
Right.
different day.
Yes.
Thank you.
But in any case, economic, you know, as far as the rest of the communities of Massachusetts look at Marlboro's economic development as a win because of what we have, okay? So, you know, this is, you know, you can voice your concern and issues, but, you know, work it through the process and see how it goes. So, thank you.
Thank you. Well, after that, any further discussion? I will entertain a motion what the Finance Committee wishes to do.
Mr. Chair, I don't think we need a motion. I just withdraw my resolution.
Okay, motion has been made to withdraw the resolution, which is order number 26-100-9670, a resolution from Council Vita, the municipal budget. Motion to withdraw. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, Council Vita. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are adjourned at 8:01 PM. Thank you, Finance Team.